first off, most importantly, great win by the guys, but you'll talk to Steve and them about that. And yeah, obviously we have had some really exciting news recently with the signings of Chiellini, now with Gareth being leaked, but then somewhat officially announced last night, which is incredibly exciting news for us. And then also Carlos Vela re-signing. So lots of exciting news. Again, I can just speak to my tired old narrative as to what our focus is here, and that's to win and to do so in a way that represents our city, our supporters, and makes them proud. And so yesterday is another momentous occasion for us, for the league, and it's a lot of positive news on the back of a good win today. So I'm sure I'll get into further detail with your questions, but I'll turn the floor over to you guys.
Hi, John. Nice to see you. First, if you can talk a little bit about the details and how the signings for Chiellini and Gareth Bale came about, especially with the targeted allocated money, and how was that able to help?
Sure. Thank you. So I think there are some similarities, some differences, but I think thematically it speaks to the interest of these players who still have a lot to give to a club, to a team, to a city, and they have noticed what this club has done in our short history, and we've had open conversations with all of these players. It's not entirely different in terms of process with all our players, where we present to them what we feel is a unique opportunity for a player like them at this stage of their career to do something a little bit different, but priority is to come to win, and we want winners. We've said that, and so now if I'm just isolating these two guys, we have guys, a player who's won 5 Champions Leagues, guy that wins World Cups, wins European Championships, wins league titles. So for us, it's just an example of an opportunity with 2 great players who have done great things, who will continue to do great things in this next phase of their career here at LAFC. And I think one thing I would love to highlight is the fact that we see both of them being great influences on the guys that we already have here. So you saw 2 guys combined for a great second goal today who are young, South American, talented players that we have identified and brought in to develop. And we just think being in the same environment as pros, like some that we already have, Ilie Sanchez, Ryan Hollingshead, Franco, Carlos, and now to add another 2 players to that really experienced group, we think complements the group well and will put us in an even better position to succeed this year.
When it comes to Carlos, he's been that cornerstone, and the fact that he's staying with the club and now getting other experienced great players into the mix, as you mentioned, what does that mean for LAFC?
Yeah, so Carlos and LAFC have had and continue to have a phenomenal relationship. I think things that get released, snippets here and there, are not entirely, they don't entirely illustrate the picture of our relationship. From day one, Carlos has been, I think, the best player in the league when he's healthy, but certainly a phenomenal player for LAFC. And I think for Carlos and his desire to win, he sees the importance of adding these pieces, again, to help with what we already have and then to add their quality and experience as well.
John, I know you mentioned your conversations with Chiellini and how you were won over as a player, as a man. There's this perception about Gareth Bale that he may not be in love with the game and he plays golf, but your conversation with him, how did that shed away some of those thoughts that you said this is a guy you want because he's this or that? How would you see those interactions?
Yeah, thanks, Max. That never came up, nor was it a concern. And I think it is entirely possible to like to play golf and also want to win. It's just, to me, they're not mutually exclusive concepts. And I think for us, I think what was great about the conversation with Gareth is it was just, what do you want from your next, and let's see if that matches what LAFC is and can offer you. And I think for players like Gareth, they speak to a coach like Steve who says, look, this is what it's like here on an everyday basis. This is what we expect out of you, and this is the responsibility you will have, but what do you want? And Gareth and these guys, you don't win 5 Champions League trophies. You don't win, you're not the highest, you're not the most valuable player in the world in recent history, or sort of in recent time. Actually, I think the guy that now was here today. But in any event, you don't you don't achieve those things if you don't have that hunger. And I know that. Steve knows that. We know that. So we did our diligence. And in fact, I'm really excited about what this change of scene will mean for Gareth and his ability to focus on playing. And, we had really in-depth conversation. What do you think you need to be successful? And he described the environment at LAFC, not knowing it necessarily, but having done his research. But we have a great group of players now, and I think we did an incredible amount of diligence on Gareth. We have players who know him. We have staff who know him. And it was just really open, transparent conversation, and we quickly saw that it was the right match. And we're incredibly excited in the face of very stiff competition worldwide that he agreed. And we're excited to welcome him in the next couple weeks.
Coach, I'm Raul from WeHo Sports. Tonight being Pride Night, what would you want to tell the LGBT community, and is there any message for our LGBTQ youth?
Sure. I think the best illustration of what LAFC stands for was what the 3252 did prior to the game. They did a TIFO, all are welcome here in Los Angeles, and I don't think I can add much to that message from the supporters representing our club.
John, how difficult was doing the math in order to meet the salary requirements and also having a DP slot available?
So the math is not entirely difficult because the rules are the rules, and we know what we could afford, we know what we could do. So it's not entirely difficult. And again, this wasn't a financial conversation for Gareth nor for us. It was, how can we make it work within the model of LAFC with what we're trying to achieve? And if Gareth was making this decision with a financial motive, he wouldn't be in MLS. And I think what really meshed well with us was what were his priorities. And I think when you speak to where the sport in this league, in these countries, I should say, with Canada and the US, it's really exciting. It's getting a lot of people's attention globally. And I think what he saw in LAFC is a unique opportunity to make a real impact. I think players like Gareth will make impacts wherever they are, similar to Giorgio. But I think what he sees here is a unique opportunity to really make a difference with a stage like we provide at LAFC. We're at this inflection point now, and there's tons of excitement around the league and with the World Cup coming. And I think they see that and see this opportunity to be a part of pulling this sport up to where we hope it can get to. And we're competing with all the other sports and hopefully becoming the sport that all our kids talk about, that all the media is talking about. And I think they see that as a really exciting opportunity.
John, just a follow-up. Did the Carlos Vela renewal had anything to do with the Chiellini and the Bale contract?
I was always confident Carlos would sign. I think despite what maybe others read, it was never a contentious conversation. It was always heading in this direction. I don't think Carlos, his agent, nor LAFC on behalf of our owners ever thought we wouldn't be where we are, where we can officially announce it. And that was done. So all of this preparation was thinking, how does this match and meet and add to what we already have in our group? And Carlos is certainly a huge piece of that.
And we'll take questions from Zoom, starting with Rebecca Williams with Sky Sport.
Good evening from London. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. I'm just trying to get my video up, but it's not working. But I just wanted to ask you about Gareth Bale, if that's okay. When are you expecting him to arrive, and how much game time do you expect him to have? Because obviously a focus is the World Cup with Wales.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us here. I'm happy to answer the question on Gareth. We don't have a firm date. Our window opens in early July, which would be the first time we can register him. We still have to go through immigration, paperwork, things like that. But we are hopeful that in the next week to 10 days, we'll be able to take care of that for him, for his family, to welcome them to Los Angeles in order for him to start to get up to speed with the group, get his fitness up, get his match readiness up. And the first game he would be potentially available with the opening of our window would be the game we have here on July 8th. Did I answer everything you asked?
The game time? The game time.
The game time.
Yeah.
As much as possible. I think with players like Gareth and with our sports science team, with our coaches, understanding how to manage a player like Gareth, who, whether you call him a thoroughbred racehorse, a Ferrari, whatever your analogy is, they do need extra attention and care and management in order to put them in a position to succeed. And that is certainly our intention here, and we're confident that we will be able to do that. So the benefit of him joining a group like we already have is we'll play him as much as we can. Obviously, we expect him to be a top player for us and in this league, but we will do so sensibly. I think when Gareth is looking at what he needs to do, his priority will be at LAFC. We are absolutely sure of that, but we're not naive to the fact that he, like some other players of ours, have a World Cup on the horizon, and how we manage his preparation ahead of that World Cup will be important to Gareth and for the success of LAFC. And we will likely try to have him peaking as soon as he's finished with the game against the United States.
Perfect. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you, Rebecca. We'll go to Chris Waithen with BBC.
Good afternoon or good evening from Wales. Can you give us any details of the length of contract and the potential that it could go beyond this season? Is that an option with Gareth or is it an option with yourself?
I'd love to get into specifics. As a policy, I don't. What I can tell you is that LAFC and Gareth are hoping that this is a long-term partnership and step for Gareth and his family.
So if I may, this isn't just about him getting ready for the World Cup. He wants to achieve something with you guys.
Yeah, no, it was clear. That never came up, actually. It was never about 6 months just for the World Cup. We always were talking about longer term than that, and that was very clear from Gareth, from his representatives, which I'll take the opportunity to thank them. They were incredibly professional, thorough throughout the process. Gareth was very forthcoming with us about what he wanted. We had numerous calls with him, with his representatives directly, and we got the sense that what he wants in preparation for the World Cup and beyond were exactly what we can offer and what we need to help what we believe is already a strong group.
And in terms of his family coming out as well, they're all going to embrace the LA lifestyle and get membership for local golf courses as well, no doubt.
That's not my area of expertise, but yeah, so I think we've had numerous conversations with his wife, and it's our job to ensure that their transition is as seamless as possible, and that's our intent. And I haven't met many wives, kids, families who move to LA and are upset about it. So we certainly think that'll be the case with them. They know LA, they've been here before. We've connected with them, and we will help do everything we can with their transition.
And finally, for me, if I may, the Wales manager Rob Page said that whoever Gareth joined after the recent international camp and ahead of the World Cup, they hope that they're sympathetic to his needs and, as you say, the way he manages his body. Can you give those guarantees?
Yeah, I don't know if guarantee is the right word. What I can say is that our definition of success and Gareth's are one and the same. So we're not going to do anything that's counterproductive to Gareth. Performing well here and performing well here will be the exact preparation he needs to prepare for a World Cup, which I know for you and your countrymen is a historic one. And our plan, there is nothing working against that plan in terms of what we have here for him at LAFC, with the exception of the game against the United States.
Indeed. Thanks very much for your time.
Of course.
Thank you. Last question for John comes from Tom Bogert.
Hey, John, thanks for taking the time.
The leaker.
That seems dismissive. I like to call it a report.
Okay.
So just a quick couple ones here. First of all, I know this sounds simplistic given his track record and everything that he obviously adds to the field, but more specifically, how does Gareth kind of fit into this team? Has there been talks with Steve about whether he's going to play centrally or on the wing, or is that kind of to be determined?
A bit of both. I think we see great tactical flexibility with where he can play. I think he's shown with Wales, with Real Madrid throughout his career, an ability to play multiple positions that fit our style, our formation. And we're certainly excited about him bringing that. I think we've seen with how Steve and his staff and our performance department have managed players like Carlos and the ability to rotate to good effect. We think Gareth will be another person, certainly not just a part of the rotation, he'll be a big piece of it. But we see the ability to play across the front three, whether it be centrally or wide, and we think that what he brings with his technical ability as well as his physical athleticism, we think that will lead to great success for LAFC and how we play in the league here.
Lastly, just kind of on a basic note, a year ago, hell, even 6 months ago, if he on your staff came up to you and said, hey, maybe we're going to have Carlos Vela, Gareth Bale, and Giorgio Chiellini all on the team within the next 12 months, what would you have said?
So I think, depending on what you gave me with your timeline there, I think there were a few things that had nothing to do with LAFC that enabled these. One was Wales qualifying for the World Cup. The other was Italy not qualifying for the World Cup. So a few of these things I couldn't necessarily have foreseen. But what I would tell you, though, is that if you were to say to me, fill in the blank, we have guys who are serial winners, who still have a lot to offer, who are excited to offer what they can bring both now and leave a legacy here at LAFC in terms of building the career of other people, helping the club grow and what have you. I'd have said yes, please.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Are
Katya,
you
go
still
ahead.
looking, sorry, for another DP?
Say again?
Did you still want another DP then to fill during this window?
We have the ability to add one. I believe wrong decision is worse than no decision, but our plan is we're charting course towards another DP signing potentially if we find the right player, like we've done with these signings that we've just announced. Then we certainly are in a position to do so, and that will be a conversation that we continue to have with ownership, with the technical staff, with the group of players, and we're excited by some of the options that we do have that we're considering now.
Mbappe?
Yeah, that's why he was here.